It's the one on the 16th?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But I'm going to just mention it real quick, too. Yeah, because I just went to one, so, yeah. Hold on.
Nice. So we have a wide shot camera up there. Hello, wide shot camera.
Are we live?
Not yet.
Okay.
We usually get some sort of signal.
Us.
Oh, wait, what is he doing?
Hold
I
on.
can't see.
Okay, yeah. Okay, hold on. Wait 1 second.
Move the light back.
We can go on now.
Yes.
Okay, hey everyone. It is Ellie.
And Tara at the 180 Shift podcast. And today we're going to be talking about school reform and alternative forms of education.
Yeah, so we're going to have some more school stuff. I know we've talked about the CEO Act before, so we're going to be talking some more school stuff now. But I don't know if anybody saw, but I did post a little bit about I was at a toy drive just a few days ago, not so long ago. You heard about it?
Yes.
And then we had a radio there. AM 870 was there, and then some other radio. And then there was a bunch of toys brought, and it was a really good event. It was very successful. I really liked it. It was early in the morning, but I think it was really worth it to go there.
I so wish I could have gone. Yeah, I've just been.
I mean, there's another opportunity coming up at the end of the show. I'll be talking about 2 different toy drives that are coming up this week if you can make them. And then I know,
awesome.
Tara, you can be there hopefully for this one. And if you want to meet us, you can meet us there at one of the toy drives we'll be at, and I'll mention that at the end. So, yeah.
No, that'd be amazing. Yeah, I got to go to that. Just been in a bit of a funk. My grandma passed away about 2.5 weeks ago, so I didn't say anything about that until now. But it, kind of always puts, like a funk, for a little while.
Right.
Anyway, that was a downer. Anyway.
That's a bit of a downer, but you know what? Life continues.
Life continues, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Ellie, you want to introduce our guest that we have today? It's super awesome.
Lesley, welcome. And I don't know, I guess you could just start off by just introducing yourself and who you are, and then we'll kind of just jump into it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm so excited to be here with both of you, and I think it's really amazing to have your own podcast, like the Gen Z podcast. And I am all about helping the next generation of children be everything that God created them to be. So it's really cool that I get to be here on your podcast, because I have a podcast too. So I'm super excited for today. So I'm an educational reformer and advocate for children. I'm all about helping for parents to maintain their parents' rights. Yeah. And then also I'm a reformer in building an amazing program I've been doing for 12 years, but now we have extended it and have modified it so that we can actually replicate it across the country, and it's called Equip 210.
That's
and
amazing.
It's a K-12 alternative education movement and program.
And we're absolutely going to dive into that and talk a lot about that. But I just, from what we were discussing earlier, about earlier in your career working at, those runaway schools. Can you talk about how you got into this?
Sure.
As a journey?
Yeah. So when I graduated from college, I was all about corporate America, let's go,
Walmart,
my career,
Corporate America. Very career-oriented.
medical sales, pharmaceutical sales. So I worked outside New York City.
Wow.
And I had a really cool job. I actually would go into surgery with plastic surgeons and oral maxillofacial surgeons, and I would bring my titanium plating set.
Wow.
And help them and train them in doing the surgery for people who had car accidents or gunshot wounds or street fighting to basically put faces back together again.
Wow.
So I'd carry a beeper and I'd go in, I'd bring in my plating set, and so that's what I did, and I really enjoyed it. But there's something that really changed my life, in that I got to volunteer at runaway shelters outside New York City in the Bronx. And that's where my heart really was, and the Lord was really leading me, and just really pivoted and exited corporate America, went back, got my master's in education, and became a school teacher and a youth leader at the same time for 16 years. And a homeschool mom. I've been married for 30 years to a wonderful husband, and we have 4 children who are all homeschooled and graduated from a program that we launched 12 years ago in Southern California called Independent Learning Academy, based on Next Generation Ministries was the nonprofit. And then this past June, we totally went up to like a whole nother level, and we modified it and made it more scalable and replicable so that we could mentor and equip other people, churches and pastors, and people who really want to bring this into their community. We have like a whole plug-and-play, school-in-a-box way of doing it and replicating. So we're in New York, we're in California. We have a lot of campuses that are going to be launching fall 2024 and 2025. We have a training that's coming up in January. So if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, I want to have a program like this in my community, reach out to us because there's still availability to join a January training.
That is fantastic. Wow. And I mean, we're gonna go.
There's a lot to I think go through right there.
Yes, it's a lot of amazing information about this whole subject. But I just wanted to point something out fascinating that you said to me earlier, which is that a lot of these runaway homes that you really got started on this path with, a lot of them were, what did you say? Like they're a lot of young women, right?
Yeah. So I was like in my like late 20s, and so this was like a time period where I would go, and they were like teenagers, and some of them were pregnant, some of them were just, were in these homes outside New York, and I would take them out. They were always hungry, and so I would take them out to the diner. I would feed them.
That's
we'd go play
amazing.
miniature golf. And got into youth ministry, so I was like a youth leader for 16 years, and then eventually launched a K-12 educational program where I was like
very
acted as
steady
a principal,
path,
the director of that, and then promoted someone into that position, and then I was over multiple campuses. So it's really been an evolution, and like
goodness,
with God, like he just kind of he gives you the big picture, but then he just illuminates like that next step.
Yes,
and you take that next step in faith,
follow his footsteps,
and then that next step in faith. And it's kind of like as you're driving like a car at night with the headlights. It's like if you're going like 20 miles. See, the headlights don't show you 20 miles worth of light.
Yeah.
Like it just shows you enough so that you can keep driving. And so that's like really stepping out in faith with like everything that he's shown and doing. And it's been so fun and exciting. And like my heart is really for the children and liberating them and letting them completely like live in their identity in Jesus Christ and the calling on their life.
What about Ellie? Do you have any questions about that?
Yeah, and I'm hearing, so you are a Christian, and so, like, have you always been a Christian? Is that something that's just, I'm hearing you've been a Christian for a while, so what's your journey through that?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So what a great question. Well, I grew up in a Christian faith, but I didn't really know about having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ until, like, my early 20s, and it wasn't until I was, like, 29 years old that I actually asked Christ to be Lord of my life. And that, like, literally everything changed
Born
overnight.
again.
Yeah, born again.
Amen to
And
that.
the first thing that I experienced was just peace. Yeah, just like overwhelming sense of peace that I didn't have before. And also, I've always been very, like, into... when I was in sales, I shared with you, I was in medical sales and pharmaceutical sales. I always, it was always like, oh, I want to like work hard and get that award. I want to work hard and like win that contest, or I want to, be the number one salesperson. And so like I would always like achieve those things and be like great for that day. And then like that next day, that like that feeling of like, that emptiness. It's like, okay, well, that, and then it'd be like the next thing. And
Jaded.
so, like, the only thing that could really fill that up, and I was like searching for that, all through my 20s, really searching for that. And then finally, it was,
Christ.
It was Christ. And he has that in all of us. Like, God has put, like, that place inside of us that only he can fill. And I think
water.
It's like that recognition, realization that I've tried this and I've tried that, and the only thing that really fills us is Christ, and he fills us with his Holy Spirit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people nowadays is very focused on career oriented, right? And that's something that you were just expressing right now is how I'm seeing a lot of people just focus on their career and just chasing that next goal, the next thing that they always want to achieve. But then again, feeling that emptiness because nothing can fill it except Christ.
Yes,
right?
amen.
And I see that throughout a lot of my generation, right? And we see, obviously, once I'm on social media, you see a lot of videos of people crying because they realize they've spent such a long time, focusing just on their career. And I think for a lot of women, then they look back, they don't have a spouse, they don't have children, and it's sort of this emptiness there. So that's something that it's very good you found out, but it's missing in our culture a lot.
No, that's true. Well, that's why I was saying that runaway home was so amazing, because that is like so much of the abortion argument is what happens to the child after it's born. So when we have programs and communities like that, that is the best pro-life argument out there, in my opinion. But anyway, not that 180 is affiliated with any opinions for legal purposes. No.
Tara's like, hold on.
No, come on. No, I'm serious though. Just in general, it is a fact that those help the argument of the thing that they're on.
And definitely like the whole the church is really stepping up and into foster care, and it's just so amazing. Like to see that, or you actually have the government agencies who are like regulating that, reaching out to certain churches like, hey, you're doing this really well, can you help us?
Yes.
Like even in where we are, like in San Clemente, there's a church that is like really into the foster care. And so they actually had a government agency reach out to them and say, you're doing this really well, because like the pastors, they foster children, the people in the church are fostering children. And so just to kind of like echo what you were saying, that it really does make a difference.
Oh, it makes, I mean, I think that's just factual, But I am curious though, quick side note, and I feel like it's relative because we're talking about a lot of children in America and alternative, even if they don't have the resources financially or they don't know someone, so kind of spreading this out to be a bigger part of the country. I can see why that's like generally like a good thing to follow. And, I don't know, what would you say about that? Like, spreading the message and the importance of that.
Of alternative education?
Well, even specifically just 210 equipped, right? Because, well, I think we should look at the website a little bit.
Yeah, or did you want to see the film?
Yeah, I think we should watch the film.
Yeah, I think let's talk about this organization, because this really relates to a lot of people, foster cares, and do those children, could they possibly be in reach of Equip 210?
So
if somebody fosters a child, that they can send them to, like, I have friends who foster children, and they can go to whatever program they want to. They can go to private school. They can go to.
I actually.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I cut it off, but I actually
that was
just had
amazing,
a question
though.
though.
Yeah.
Because what was the purpose behind choosing Ephesians 2:10?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Thanks for asking that. So that was the verse that the Lord gave way back 12 years ago. So we've always been Ephesians 2:10, even when we were Next Generation Ministries Independent Learning Academy. It was Ephesians 2:10, but it was the NIV translation. And then with Equip 2:10, he really impressed upon me to change it to the New Living Translation. Before it was NIV, and then he had me change it to the NLT. And so the NIV is for we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do the good works that he prepared long ago. The NLT is for we are God's masterpiece. And that word masterpiece is really a significant word, because God wants children walking around saying, I am a masterpiece. I'm a multifaceted masterpiece. He wants them to look in the mirror and say, I am God's masterpiece. Like, think about that word.
Your whole design.
His whole design. He has created me anew in Christ Jesus for the good things that he prepared for me to do long ago. And I always say, like, we have a specific physical DNA of a thumbprint, and we have a spiritual DNA that when he knit us together in our mother's womb, that he already anointed and appointed us for a plan and a purpose on this earth that only we can fulfill. And so, like, my calling in Equip 210's mission and vision is to really release children into that identity of them being a masterpiece of Jesus Christ. Because
Yeah.
right now there's such an assault on children to the essence of their own creation of their own sexuality, of like who God created them. And God makes it really clear in Genesis, male and female, he created us. And so like the enemy has come and attacked them in that place. And so what's so beautiful about this verse and about this mission and vision, and it's all about their identity being in Jesus Christ, and that they have a calling on their life. And I don't know if we'll get to see the film a little bit later, but that film is our alumni and our students really walking in what God has called them to do. And it's so liberating because you know yourselves, like, look at you having your podcast and everything that you're doing. Like you can just tell how much you enjoy it because you're like doing what, you know, what God is like,
and
you know.
I mean, what a perfect verse to encapture what really is happening right now in schools. I mean, like you can't say it better than God, you know?
That's true.
Ephesians 2:10. That's a really amazing.
We can play it right now. So
yeah, and so tell us about this video specifically, like, because we want to know more about, you know, in regard to bringing Equip 210 to communities and why that's benefiting even like people you wouldn't even know, like, you know.
Yeah.
Just having that in your community and spreading it around. So tell us about why that's so important.
The students, these are all of our students. That's me in the red car. The Lord gave me the whole download with that. That's actually my daughter. She is now, she's a graduate, a 2018 graduate, and she's a labor and delivery nurse. Like living out what God created her to do. These are some really sweet children who are in our program. Another student, and then another student who's a dancer. It's one of my children on a motorcycle.
That is so cool.
And this is one of our students who is like an amazing worship leader. This is a student who launched her own company, the one who's sewing, Tower 20. And then singer.
Editor. Is he an editor?
No, writing code. Writing code, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So they're all,
guitarist.
It's amazing, like, because you know, at the end, and if you know, this is on our website, equip210.com, and you watch it with the music and everything else. At the end, it's exhilarating because you just see the freedom.
Yeah.
You see the freedom of it, and it's so exciting seeing all of the students here. And then also, we've had thousands and thousands of students come through our program and really launching them into what it is that they feel called to be and to do. It's freedom. And when you are, you know, a part of what God is, the story that he has written for you, because he's like the author of our life, it's so exciting. Like life is really amazing and exciting, like walking in that. And so Equip 210 is all about taking a student and showing them through their core subjects, through their electives, discipling them in Jesus Christ, the calling on their life, and seeing the hand of God in all that he's doing in and through them.
Wow.
Oh, so can we pause that last slide? It says, thank you to our student and alumni cast who portrayed themselves in this film, walking in their identity and calling in Jesus Christ, and a special thanks to the Hamilton family for making this film possible.
Yeah.
You know, I want to speak on that for a second. Even that video, like, didn't you say it was like your son? Is it
I had some of my own, like, so my husband and I have 4 children, and they all went through our program. They all graduated with independent.
And did he get that skill?
Oh yeah,
the skill of filmmaking from that program.
So, like, my son-in-law is a filmmaker, but my son, who's in there, he is now in engineering school doing computer engineering.
Wow!
But all the things that he learned over the past 12 years in our program, from Java programming, Arduino, CAD programming, robotics, is all part of his story in getting him where he is. And there's so many students who were able to experience things there that catapulted them into what it is that their purpose was and what it is that they were going to be doing.
That is amazing. Yeah. Wow. I have a passion for film myself, so I'm like, game, recognized game.
Well, this is the thing. It's really amazing how we're in an educational revolution right now, which is so exciting. And whatever the marketplace is that students go into, arts and entertainment, government, media, economy, medicine, education, whatever it is, they can go in, they can bring the Holy Spirit into that area and co-create with God in that space and place and make an impact. And that's what it's all about, and really super exciting. So what we do now is we've done it really well for 12 years, and now we want to help everyone else do it well.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you like have a calling in your heart, you're like, wow, I want to bring this into my community. I want to bring this into my church. I want to make an impact, but I don't want to start from ground zero and have to like reinvent everything. That's where we come in, and we start where we left off.
Yeah.
Instead of like having to be all the way back 12 years ago, we start you like right where we left off, and we accelerate and we take you to the next place where you can go. And so we have all the systems and processes and curriculum and professional development with the teachers. So we come in and do a training for like 12 weeks and then launch, and we're there like all the way, like where we are basically linking arms and taking that mountain of education together. And that's why it's a movement.
That is
now,
amazing.
do they
So
need to
powerful.
provide their own teachers?
We help them find the
Okay,
teachers.
you help them find it, and do they need, who is able to like open one of these schools practically?
So it's really interesting you should ask that, because we can be on a farm. So for fall 2024, we're like literally have an amazing schoolhouse that they're like building on a 10-acre farm in Ramona. In Southern California, in Orange County, we're in an office building for like our high school.
Yeah.
We're doing, I'll have to talk about our high school discipleship day. And then in New York, we're in a church. So if you're listening to this and you're like a pastor of a church and you just have 4 classrooms, that's all we need to get started. We can be in a church. We can be on property. If you have like farm property, we can be in a building.
Oh my goodness, that's
and
so
we come
cool.
in
And that's
like
even part-time, right?
every area has their own like socioeconomic level. They have their own things that they have access to, property that they have access to, churches, and so on. But we come in, we have a whole economical model, revenue model, system and process model that is replicable, sustainable. That's a key word, that it's sustainable, because there's you have to have something that's sustainable. And so we've been doing this really well for 12 years. And we're able, obviously, to sustain it, and just economically. Like you want to, it's like everybody is able to be blessed by it and to be able to continue on it, from the teachers, the parents, and then also the owner of it. So we come in and the church can own it. Husband and wife who want to start an Equip 210 campus, they can start it. So the best way to take that next step, we kind of like have a 5-step process here on the program.
Oh, and there's one right there too. Is that?
Oh, that's the podcast there. But here's the program. So it's really reaching out to me. You can go to our website, equip210.com, and fill out an inquiry form. And then we would schedule a Zoom call. And then from there, we go on to the next step of like if you're going to move forward, getting you involved in the mastermind training. We have one coming up January 2024 at the end of January, so it's not too late. I would encourage you to come in this January 2024 if you're interested in launching fall 2024 or fall 2025.
Yeah. So you have apply, meet, train, implement, launch.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I just want to touch again on that. Is so cool that it's like there really is a lot of school choice in this. Not only for your kids, but your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews.
A legacy.
There's a lot of value in this. There really is.
Now, in terms of like, I guess, government, either like accountability or things like that, or just like standardized testing, how do you guys operate on that?
Yeah. So like every state has their own homeschool laws. And so we go and we find out what's going on with that particular state. Some states have less regulations than other states.
Right.
So it just really depends on what the laws are in that state regarding homeschooling and what they require as far as testing and things like that. California actually is an amazing state to homeschool in, which is really exciting. Yeah, it is. And so I've homeschooled in California, Georgia, and in Connecticut. But our program right now is as I said, one in New York, and then we have the ones in California, and then we have more in all different locations for fall 2024 and 2025.
What makes California superior?
So it's great because for private homeschooling, when you file your own private school affidavit, you have a lot of independence. You're able to create the environment and the atmosphere that you want to create, study the things you want to study. You can choose to do testing or not do testing, and they really give the parent the respect and the space that they need to be able to function and run a really good homeschool program.
Yeah.
So it's a good balance that they have.
That's fantastic, because it can be kind of daunting, I feel as a parent, right? To like have to feel like it's all in your hands, I don't know.
Well, it's, that's why it's I would say every homeschooling parent, it's a very broad word, homeschooling, because it looks different. Some homeschooling families, the mom is home and the dad is working. Other homeschool families, both mom and dad work, or you may have a single mom. So what's really nice, especially even post-COVID, because I think it was something like 3% of the population homeschooled before COVID, and then it was like 100% during COVID, and then after COVID, I think it was a remaining 42% continued to homeschool. And so every homeschool family looks different, and there's something out there for all of them. So you can do it all yourself, or if you want to do be affiliated with a hybrid program such as Equip 210 or other programs like that, there's something for everybody who wants to homeschool. And so that's another thing I'm going to be starting in January. In January 2024 is actually a mentoring program for homeschooling families. It'll be something that I'll be talking more about because they need support and mentoring and encouragement. And, I've homeschooled over 20 years. I have 4 amazing adult children. Youngest is 19, a 22-year-old, a 23-year-old, and a 25-year-old. And I've just done a lot of life things. I was a caregiver for my mother and father, for my brother at one point, being a homeschool mom, running a whole homeschool movement and nonprofit, and then now what I'm doing with Equip 210. So want to be able to bring those resources and that knowledge to families as well.
Yeah. And, well, no, you go.
You can go. No, you can go. Okay, all right. So has there been any challenges that you faced along the way?
Oh, wow. That's like a really big question.
Yeah, that was a good question. That was better than my question.
Have there been any challenges along the way?
Yeah, whether it's with states and different restrictions, or just some things that you've learned that are better, or just expertise that you've learned in homeschooling.
Sure. I would say that, the role that the Lord has always had me in is a pioneering role. And when you're have that kind of apostolic calling of being a pioneer something, you're blazing the path for others to be able to come in after you and be able to have the fruit and the benefit of kind of what's been formed. And so there's been a lot of things.
Yeah.
I would say it's a daily walk, actually. So it's, waking up early and spending that time with the Lord and just him really being so faithful all the way through. And when you kind of hit a roadblock or a ceiling or something that you kind of need breakthrough, is really praying. And it's just amazing what he's done. I look back and it's miraculous. Literally, it's truly amazing. And so I would just encourage anyone who, if you have a calling on your life to do something, is just to take that first step and take the next step and then do the next right thing and just keep moving forward. And I have the expression, let's keep moving the ball down the field.
Yeah.
Just keep going and taking that next step.
Yeah, because eventually it will get to the other end.
Yeah, and then you have these seasons of wow, this is great. You're just kind of flying along, gliding along, and then it's okay, now it's kind of, you got to take more territory. Let's take the next territory that we're to take. Yeah. And even with evolving into Equip 210 from Independent Learning Academy, it's I knew something was coming. I had received a lot of just encouragement and just words of okay, we're going to that next level, even globally. And it's kind of like you're climbing a mountain. You think you've reached the pinnacle, and all of a sudden the clouds part, and you're like, "Wow, there's a whole other peak that we have to summit." And you step out and do that, and it's really amazing. Like just this week, I got emails and calls from the United Kingdom and someone regarding Ethiopia and Korea. So
now I want to say, is that partly because it's growing so fast, like you were saying, how a lot of people homeschooled during the pandemic and then just kept homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
So does that affect these areas? I mean, it was a global thing, right? So it's like,
it's great.
Could that be why it's growing so quickly?
Well, I think everyone recognizes the value of alternative education. This is the thing. It's so good to have choices. Like parents deserve to have choices. And it's like with anything, and that's why we live in a capitalistic society. But it's ironic, and there's irony in the sense that our educational system is a public educational system that when you look at it, you can look at it and be like, wow, it's like an oxymoron, the irony that we have like a socialized public educational system where parents don't have a lot of choice and a lot of say, but we live in a capitalistic society. So we want our children to value capitalism and all the freedom and liberties and the free enterprise and free society that we have in this country, yet our educational system is not that. So the fact that there's a shift now in an educational revolution, we are shifting the culture into an multiple educational models where parents get to choose. So whenever you give the parent the empowerment of being able to make the choice for their children, that's super exciting. And that's where we are right now, because it's the parent who should be deciding all those types of things about their children, because there's not going to be anyone that's going to care more about their child than like a healthy relationship, like with a parent choosing for their child, like what is best for them and where they want to go. And so that's what's really exciting about the CEO Act for California, the Children's Educational Opportunity Act, which is going to be on the ballot for fall 2026. Is like basically it's an educational savings account for the parent that $17,000 would be there for that child, for the parent. Okay, I'm going to emphasize for the parent to decide where they want to send their child. And if they want to send them to the public schools, they can. And if they want to do a charter school, they can. But if they want to do a faith-based program, an alternate hybrid model, or a private school, they can do that as well. Because at the end of the day, the parent can choose and decide where it is that they want to send their child.
Right, and that's so true.
I know that here in California because my homeschool, we do include like Christ or just faith-based stuff into our curriculum. California won't give us money to help assist with, certain schooling things that we want to get, or just to help the cost, or bring down the cost for my parents who are having to pay for all this, and that would allow my family so much like freedom to go do other stuff and just to have more of a better education. So that's a really good thing. I'm really optimistic about that. I'm really happy that
it's going to happen. And I had a podcast a few weeks ago, and that's where I met I got to meet Bernie Bernal, and then also the mayor of Thousand Oaks, Kevin McNamee, and he was on the podcast talking about the CEO Act, and he also got to speak at our Equip 210 Gala. But it's coming, and it's super exciting, and I really just see the whole shift of the money from government education into parents' hands, which the way it should be. They deserve to have choices. I mean, like, we live in America. It's a capitalistic society. Can you imagine if we only had like one Italian restaurant in the entire country? It's like, look at like the choices of where you get your hair done, your coffee shop, the restaurants you get to go to, the doctors that you get to choose. It's like, why shouldn't we have choices for our own children's education and to be able to have the money there in a savings account to be able to go and choose? And this is the thing, when you have multiple businesses, that it's like healthy competition where, it's compared to like, well, there's only one place you can go and that you have to go there. There's not the incentive to be able to do the things that you would do with just the whole economic model of capitalism. And that's what's happened in our government schools, is that they know that children, that there's a tether, that they have to go there. And so look what they're doing in the indoctrination and the way in which it's being done. So how do you break that? You break that cycle by empowering the parents to decide and being able and giving them the money to make those decisions. And so I know that I personally am called to build the aircraft of Equip 210 and also the runway of alternative education and just healthy education in general and reforming it.
Now, I do know that, there's a lot of things that, I guess this can be probably two questions, but in public schools, there's a lot of kids that slip through the cracks, right? Whether they have like learning difficulties or like dyslexia, things like that. So like how does this program help with those students to be able to progress and not slip through those cracks?
Yeah. You ladies are asking like such great questions. Like I'm just so impressed by you both. Like seriously. So this is like what happens in a mainstream like traditional education program is you get like 20 to 30 students in a classroom. And if the moms who are listening to this, you know that if you have more than one child in your home, if you're a mom of like more than one, like they are so different. Like just being able to like have 2 or 4 children in the same household and thinking that you're going to teach them exactly the same way, that they're going to learn exactly the same way, that they're going to have the same interests. So now think of a classroom that has 30 students and you have a teacher who's teaching them. Of course, they're going to like be interfacing with information. They're going to be learning differently. But what happens is Billy, Susie, Johnny, they're not keeping up. They're learning differently because it's the teacher's teaching in a way that's very visual. But you have a kinesthetic learner who wants to be playing with Legos and needs to be like doing something with their hands as the teacher's talking, but they're not allowed to do that. And so what ends up happening is children aren't able to learn as quickly for all different kinds of reasons. There might be just cognitively, their brain just hasn't developed to that point yet where they can understand it, or it's not being taught to them in a learning modality that they would interface with the information. So what happens is they're the ones that get singled out. It's like, well, something's wrong with you because you aren't keeping up with everybody else. And so instead of recognizing them as an individual who has a seed that they bring to the learning experience, they're extracted from the classroom. They're given an IEP. They're made to feel like there's something wrong with them. And what happens then is then the anxiety kicks in that, they're feeling self-conscious, they're feeling rejected, they're feeling shame or guilt or anxiety over the fact that they aren't keeping up with the class, and just kind of like, ends up getting, it's almost like a pressure cooker. It just gets worse and it just multiplies and keeps going. They get pushed into the next grade. And so what happens, and what I saw over 12 years when they would come into our program, is you would just see these students who had such like anxiety, school anxiety, and IEPs and everything else. They would just like disintegrate. Those IEPs would just go away because all of a sudden they were in an environment that was very healthy and supportive. They were in smaller classrooms. They knew that everybody was for them and not against them. And you just saw their whole countenance change. You saw them become like very, just like joyful and happy. And like parents would send emails or they would come and talk to me or team members and they would say, oh my goodness, my student was a D student. Now they're like an A student. Yeah. So to answer, there's like a long answer to your question, Ellie, but basically it was like such a great question in that when you take a child out of an environment like that and you put them in a different environment that's smaller and honors them of bringing something to the education experience, because every child has a seed and every child has a key to unlock the learning, it's amazing how they flourish. And we even saw children come in who were autistic. And that was like amazing because they would come in and you would clearly see that there was just like socially that there was a difference there, that there was something socially that was different about them. But what was amazing by the end of the year, just like being around other peers their age and just how kids were accepting them, that they completely like had like those social skills that maybe weren't there in the beginning, that they were flourishing at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
So environment, like being in the right place, just with love and caring and kindness. And those are like our pillars: honor, obedience, excellence, kindness, and courage. There's just something about kindness. You know, like when you ask somebody, like, tell me about somebody in your life and why they made an impression on you, and you boil it down to like what the qualities were that person that you chose. Kindness is always at the top. They were kind to me. They showed me love. They had grace for me.
That is
amazing.
So true.
Yes, it is. I know you were talking about like kindness for you too.
Yeah.
One experience. I was just flashing back to that, but that's
amazing. The thing about my school. Oh, what I was saying earlier? Yeah, no, I went to a school that was very similar, but it was in Colorado. Yeah. So I know it's different state to state, but this school was a charter school that, but they didn't talk about Christ ever. But
they were kind to you, like kindness.
I mean, I came from a public school, and I had a lot of anxiety with the homework and the workload because they were an advanced school in general. So. And I met with them several times, and they showed me kindness, and then they gave me time. They were patient with me, which it's like a lot of times it's either like really lazy in this, participation from the teachers in the public schools, mainly because they're strained and they're underpaid, right? But aside from that, there's also this just wanting to help the student, but maybe trying to force it upon the student too fast. Like, you have to learn this right now. You have to understand this right now. And it does give kids a lot of anxiety. So how do we deal with that anxiety? Especially receiving public school kids who basically value themselves based on the number next to their name or the grade, in their profile. Yeah.
So I would just say we have to recognize that children are so valuable. And from the youngest age, when they come into the learning experience, whether that's like preschool or kindergarten, first, second, third, all the way through high school, is that they bring such value. They bring a seed with them that needs to be respected and honored, and that they bring an essential part to the learning experience that the teacher needs to value and to bring out. And so that's why we love like projects and student-based learning, and that the teacher, it's like a very significant dynamic between the student and the teacher. Both are essential. Yeah. It's not like you want learning like without a teacher. It's like they both complement, and it's really essential. And so our high school program, I just want to like share about that. We have a discipleship day, which is truly amazing. We're building an online component, so you would be able to access it nationally. But we also have an in-person discipleship day, and we meet in Laguna Hills. These students come in and they learn about identity, Christian leadership, and they're also launching their own nonprofit, which is really exciting. Like they're on a board of directors. They've written their mission and vision statement. They've gotten to choose what it is that they want to be all about, and they're really into helping children, Gen Z, with suicide prevention, and they really want to make an impact. So they're learning such essential skills on how to operate a board of directors on a nonprofit. But that's like what we are equipping our high schoolers to do, and knowing that they're ready by high school to like be working on the trades that they want to do, or getting ready if they're going to be going into a 4-year school. And so we're actually looking to partner with a Christian university, and hopefully we'll know by the spring, in getting the dual enrollment for like our classes. So they would graduate with their high school diploma
and a bachelor's.
And also not their bachelor's, their associates. Yeah, they're associates.
Could a student who works extra hard get a bachelor's degree possibly?
I think that, just because of the time and everything else, they would graduate with their AA, and then they could go on just 2 more years to get their BA or their BS. Yeah. And then like sometimes 1 year or another year to get their master's. There's all kinds of things, but it's just there's so many things, great things happening in education.
That is amazing. So how accessible is the CEO Act?
Yeah. So right now it's going to be on the ballot for fall 2026. They had everything all teed up to have it for fall 2024, but in the 11th hour, there was just something that, unfortunately, that they weren't able to get it on the ballot for fall 2024 because of a technicality, and I won't even kind of get into the details of that. But I feel God works all things for good, and that it's even better that it's going to be fall 2026 because it's like 2 more years to really heighten the awareness of it, so that when it is on the ballot, it does get passed, and it's not. There's no tethers attached to it. There's not like they can add any type of things that would be contradictory to empowering parents. It's a very clean act and clean bill, and it's all based on amending the Constitution and starting an initiative. And getting 1.2 million signatures. You get the initiative, it gets on the ballot, and it's not connected to any public district or anything like that. And it's something that was it's really an amazing opportunity, and we're going to be talking more about it. Yeah, and I have a podcast where I had Kevin, the mayor of Thousand Oaks, and then I also had Benny on that we really dive deep into it. And so my podcast is Reinventing Education with Leaders and Visionaries, and you can follow me at Lesley Russell 7 or Equip 210, and we're going to be putting social media reels with highlights from that video, from that podcast. Yeah.
Now we have about 5 minutes left, right?
Yeah, just a couple more minutes. But I do have another question. So for students or just for parents, how much would it cost for like a parent to get their child in this program, or just for somebody to start it?
Yes. So that's so great. It depends on what state you're in, because there's different socioeconomic areas. So what we do is we come in and we really look at that area, and we have our own niche. We're not the cost of private education by any means, but we're also not free. And that's so important because we have sustainability and scalability, and that and then with that, we have longevity, because there's a lot of programs that are like, oh, everything's going to be free. The teachers will teach for free, and the church will just open its doors for free. But free is not. That's not sustainable. And so we have our own niche that's really affordable. And it's, as I said, we have a really special offer in getting involved for the training for January 2024. And so you can reach out to me at lrussell at equip210.com, and that's 2 S's, 2 L's, so L for Lesley, Russell, Russell at equip210.com, or you can go to our website, equip210.com, but reach out about getting involved and getting in our January special offer that we have.
That's great.
Yeah, what a wonderful opportunity. Yes. So, and we'll put more of that information in the bio of this video as well, so you can check in later and, get the link and everything.
Yes.
But do you have any closing statements, Ellie?
Let's see. I'm not sure, but
it's a funny term.
Closing statements. No, this has been a wonderful opportunity to have you on. Is there anything that you'd like to tell the public real quick, either to sum it up or just how to find you? Again, just mention the website again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would like to say that, you can look at the world right now in our country and be like, oh my goodness, just be really depressed about the state of things. But with that, there's opportunity, and the way that I'm wired is I'm always solution oriented, and I just really see an exciting and amazing shift in education, and I feel that. With COVID, that a lot of things came out and were revealed and shown to us, and the curtain was parted and we were able to see, and God's saying, okay, now there it is. Now go clean it up.
Yes.
Go make a difference. Mm-hmm. And we're in an education revolution right now, and it's exciting. And I see the shift going to the parents and empowering parents and having options. And I'm really excited to be able to multiply Equip 210 as being a program and an option there for parents, along with a lot of amazing also other programs too. It's just great that they have options. So I just wanted to, give that encouragement. And then also whatever the Lord is calling you to do, if you're sitting there and you're like, gosh, I have this desire, I'm passionate about this. Passion is maybe there's something that angers you, the injustice of it. And you're like, I want to change that. I want to make it better. And you just have that fire in your belly. I really want to make a difference in that area. I just encourage you to step out in faith and do it. because there's always somebody who's going to be on the other side of your yes and be blessed by that.
Yes. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I'm so proud of the two of you. Like,
thank
seriously, like, there's this, like,
thank
I'm
you.
so honored that I
Appreciate
got to be
that.
on your podcast.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
doing great things.
A lot of just God's footprint,
Yeah.
following it and the impact that he has on our lives. I think it's so powerful. I think it's always worth it to spread this message, and I think this program, Equipped 210, is amazing. So.
Thank you so
Yes.
much. And I would just say, like, there's so much coming at the Gen Z generation right now, and it's like the enemy just knows that you guys are so anointed and appointed for this time. And like I meet you guys, and it's so inspiring, you ladies, and other amazing, like just the students in our program and like what they're doing, and all the other students as well. So I just encourage you just to keep going, and you're like you're world changers and reformers.
Thank you. But thank you so much for coming
Yeah.
on. And I'm going to just jump into mentioning that toy drive that we have coming up. There's 2 of them. So as I mentioned, I went to one not so long ago. But there's 2 other ones coming up if you feel very blessed to just being able to extend that blessing to another person, another child this Christmas.
That's so
So one of them is the Power of God Ministries that we had on the podcast not too long ago.
Yeah.
So they're having their 2nd annual toy giveaway. So it's going to be at Sophia's. It's called Sophie's Christmas Village. It's going to be Saturday, December 16th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. For children's
December
ages
16th.
1 to 10th. And it's going to be Santa Toy Drive, giveaway kind of thing. And then there's going to be worship, food, games, raffle tickets, Santa, of course, and face painting vendors. That's going to be at 777 North Maclay Avenue, San Fernando, in the city of San Fernando.
It's
At
near
9.
Santa Clarita, right?
Yeah, well, no. It's,
Kind of, though. Maclay's an exit on the 210, right?
I don't know.
Am I wrong?
that's
I've been learning.
No, it's the city of San Fernando. So
Yeah.
well,
It's San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And then there is another one coming up in Pasadena.
This is close by. Both of those are super
yes,
close by.
yes,
Like
there's-
15 minutes away from here.
So it's just going to be really close. So if you're in here in the San Fernando Valley, you can check these out. Pasadena from 6 to 9 a.m. It's going to be Thursday, December 14th. We're going to be at that one. I'm going to be there for sure. It's going to be at 911 East Colorado Boulevard in Pasadena. So once again, so so check us
very
out
close
there.
by.
That one, I think I'm going to be actually on the radio for that one,
Ooh.
I believe.
So cool.
So hopefully
Yeah.
maybe you might be able to jump on too.
I
I'm
would
not
love
sure.
to, yes.
But yeah, so I'm going to be there, and you'll be able to hear us at 8 a.m.
Yes.
870. So
Yes.
that's going to be cool. That's
Oh
going
my
to be
goodness,
fun. I
looking
think
forward to it.
Santa's also going to be there.
Yes. Of
But
course.
yeah, come by, meet us, and be able to chat maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
and thank you all for joining us.
Yes, and
yeah, just
Social media. I forgot to do that in
Oh.
the beginning. So if you really, really feel inclined to just follow us, if you haven't already, you can go to our social medias at 180.shift on Instagram. Twitter and TikTok is 180shifts, just without the dot. Facebook is at Tara, letter N, Ellie. And then YouTube, if you haven't found our YouTube, I mean, I'm sure you're probably on YouTube, but it's going to be Shift 180. And
Yes.
then the website is at 180shift.org. So if you want to learn a little bit more about us, where you can find us, you could just go there. We have our mission statement there and just a bunch of other topics that we like to talk about. But yeah, we would love to have you on if you have anything interesting to talk about, right?
yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. And
Okay.
that's a wrap.
Yeah, I would say so. Well, thank
It's
you
8
so much for
o'clock.
joining
Yeah.
us. But yes, you have a wonderful day. Okay, good.